Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the changes that have occurred across all platforms with the 3.15 version of Gems of War. One thing to note about this is it is a rather minor patch and basically just addresses bug fixes, so we're going to be going through all of them right now. So, it inflicts the impervious trait not blocking Devour or Mana Burn. As you guys may have noticed, it was not doing so. This was a mechanic that was added at a later time, and apparently whatever they did with the most previous patch didn't actually include this, but now Impervious will indeed protect yourself against the mana burn that something like Queen Mab has. It'll also protect you against the Devourer of Great Maul or any other Devourers that you might have, so that is now fixed. This will be pretty noteworthy, particularly for last slot Imperviousing, so you can counter out the Krakens, and of course a lot of Queen Mabs are still around. Next up is affix to one-shot spells. These are spells that can only be triggered once per troop for the entirety of a battle. Like, for example, if you had a Great Maul on your team, you wouldn't be able to cast multiple different Great Mauls. Once you cast one, you will not be able to do any follow-ups to that. But what happened the previous patch is they ended up accidentally coding something indirectly or incorrectly that made it so it was allowed to go as many times as they wanted. So now if you put two Great Mauls in the team, you cast one, both of them will be unable to cast. So that's now working as intended. Next up is more tutorials for newer players. That's pretty irrelevant for most people, but I believe this was mainly around like the Soul Forge and stuff like that, kind of just to explain it a bit more, most likely. Next up, it has the increased announcements. Now, if you want to go into your guild and make the announcements a little bit further, you can. For any of you that don't know, the announcements for the game, if you just go under guild, and then you go over to, I believe it's admin, and then announcements, you can then set your announcements. And before it was ridiculously short where you could barely fit anything. Now you can make it a lot longer and it will fit. So that's pretty nice. Additional changes, we have the probably most noteworthy one right here. It is no longer possible to gain a mana surge off of 4 times matches. I believe this is the first time this has happened to console, though for PC and mobile it's basically just reverted back to what it was before. Essentially what happens now is, let me go under my match tree, which is what we were under before, go under hero and go under overview. So essentially now, a 3 times pair will do what it always does. The chance that a 3 pair will have to surge is whatever your mana surge chance is. So for us, let's say we take a blue, we have a 62% chance that 3 pair of blues will result in us getting a mana surge, which of course just gives us double of the amount of mana that we'd get from that. If we take 3 and we get the surge, that's then 6. If we take the 5 and then surge, that's 10, so on and so forth. But a 3 pair has the chance of surging based on whatever this percent is. Now, a 4 times has a 0% chance of ever mana surging. So regardless of what your mana surge chance is, if you take a 4 times pair, it will never result in a mana surge. It will still always result in an extra turn, but never a mana surge, so do keep that in mind. There are some instances where you, let's say, need 6 mana, and you have the choice between taking a 3 pair or a 4 times pair. It will sometimes be better to go for the 3 pair rather than the 4 times. Also, if you're frozen, there are many instances where the 3 pair will actually be better because the 3 pair has a chance of surging, whereas the 4 pair does not. And if you can't gain the extra turn, then there's no point in even taking that 4 pair relative to a 3 pair. So there's a bit more strategy now as far as how you take this. Most people on PC and mobile are kind of used to this because this is how it used to be. They just recently changed it back. But for console, I believe this is the first time, so do keep that in mind. 4 times no longer have that surge chance, and 5 times, like always, are still exactly the same. A 5 times pair has a 100% chance of mana surging, and it will automatically give an extra turn as well, assuming you're not frozen. So, on to the next one. Aspect ratio bug on console has now been fixed. You should be able to properly adjust the resolution of Gems of War to match your screen. So both of those 2 fixes now, as far as the ratio, as far as on your screen and stuff, are now fixed. That was something I don't believe the PC mobile actually had an issue with, maybe mobile some, but that is now not an issue, and they also ended up implementing some other very small bug fixes. So, a very, very, very small patch, but it has some much needed stuff that needed to be done. Just to recap, the most noteworthy things are Impervious now works again, and of course the 4 times mana surge thing. This really changes up the how you would actually play on the board. It also makes things like wisps and infinite turn spam slightly weaker, though still very, very powerful and still meta as some of the strongest things that can be used. But do keep in mind, if you are running like a double wisp team, which console just got today, and stuff like that, that is going to be slightly weaker now. Still going to be quite usable relative to other teams that are craftable, or not craftable, but usable as this current moment in time. But just be wary of that now, because you are going to overall be gaining a lot less mana than what you normally would while taking your extra turns. But yeah, if you guys still have any other questions about how any of this works, or any of the changes, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Hopefully we'll have the next big patch in about a month or two that will be bringing new features and stuff. They did mention that next patch will be bringing quite a few bug fixes as well, as likely a pretty big balance change, as they normally do most patches. So we'll look forward to that. Pretty sure it will be addressing the whole extra turn spam thing and concerns that people have with that. But anyways, if you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.